Alright, welcome to the video, and this is tutorial number 2 in continuation with data visualization with Python and Seaborn. So in the last class, guys, we learned about the dist plot. We looked at the tips data set, right? We opened the data set and we learned how to do a dist plot. So dist plot allow us to, revising essentially what we did in the last class, but just in case if you have missed my last class, so you can go to the YouTube and the tutorial number 1, right? So that tutorial I was talking about the data visualization and everything in detail. So essentially just want to show you, if you go to my channel and essentially this tutorial right here, data visualization with Python and tutorial, so here it is. So this tutorial was tutorial number 1. Right now, getting started with tutorial number 2. So let me just stop that. I usually revise what we did in the last class. So if we learned about dist plot allows you to do a distribution plot. Basically here you can see allows you to, so basically it takes a numerical column, remember, so that column should have numbers. We learned about join plot, right? The join plot allows us to take two arguments, this is the x and the y, and both has to be numbers, right? Remember that. So here you can see. Then we learned about the scatter plot. So just by specifying the kind as scatter, you can get the scatter plot, and also we have the distribution on the x and y axes. Then we learned about if you say kind equals to hex, it's going to give you a nice hex plot which tells you where are the more concentrated areas are dark and similarly light. So here you can see this is the hex plot. We did the KDE plot, that is just the kind equals to KDE. We learned this. After that we learned regression plot. We learned to do a regression. After that we learned about the pair plot. So we made a simple pair plot. We can also specify the hue. So basically this will color all the males in the orange and the blue. Sorry, I said the opposite. The male in blue and the females in orange. So nice graph you can visualize. We saw the bar plot, right? Then we saw the count plot. This is for the categorical columns. We saw the box plot. In the box plot you can also give hue, so you can separate it as this is for the male, this is for the female, and so these are the plots used for categorical plots. So we saw violin plots and we saw the heat map. So continuing from this onwards, so now once you have a very good idea of all of these plots, so we did this, we did this, we did this, the KDE. Now we wanna do a little bit more in detail about the box plot that I already showed you guys. So now I'm gonna show you the violin plot. So let's do the violin plot. So did I taught you guys? Yeah, but not in detail. So let's talk about the violin plot and the swarm plot. So I want to talk about a swarm plot. So what basically the swarm plot does is basically it allows you to combine two plots. So before the swarm plots, I'm gonna see the strip plot, right? So the strip plot. So we can say if you want to do that, SNS dot strip plot. So essentially I need to run the notebook because I just opened it up. So run it up. So hopefully the data will be loaded, right? So now I can essentially do my visualization. So right, so I can say sns.stri and hit the tab to autocomplete. Now it's gonna, before doing that, I just want to see the data. So all right, so we're gonna do the strip plot. So strip strip plot, and it's gonna take an x argument. Remember the x has to be a categorical column, which means it has to be a string, right? So let's do on the day, right? And the y has to be numbers, remember that. So let's do for the tip, we're gonna supply data. So run that. So here you see we have a nice strip plot. So here you can see it tells you on Thursday how many tips you got. So it's pretty clear. On Saturdays there were more number of tips, right? So we can, so this was about the strip plot. Now if you want to see on Saturday, so for example it's giving us a nice plot, but if you want to see, hey, on Saturday were male spending more, were male giving more tips or female, so I can just say hue equals to sex and run that. Oops, what did I do wrong? So syntax error. All right, so let me just pull up my notes quickly. I think I did correctly. Oh, that has to be a comma. So now if you see, now we have a nice color. So orange are the females. So you can see on Thursday more females were there, and they give more tips than compared to Saturday. Saturday more males were present. So this gives us a nice plot. So we're done with that. Moving forward, moving for the swarm plot. So the swarm plot is a combination of strip plot and violin plot. So essentially, let me just draw a violin plot first. So if I want to draw violin plot, I'm gonna say VIO, hit the tap, VOI, I think. Oops, VOI. What's going on? VOI. Wow. I mean, oops, it has to be SNS dot. All right, sorry for that. All right, so we're gonna say, let's say, let's do by day, and the Y would be tips. So I'm gonna just do a simple violin plot. So it tells you the distribution, how it's distributed, right? Now, if I want to combine the violin plot and the strip plot, which is together called as the swarm plot, right? So let's do swarm plot, right? These are all for the categorical column, so remember that. So now we're gonna do the swarm plot. So we can say SNS dot swarm plot, right? Now the swarm plot takes an argument of known as X, so it's gonna be day. And this is gonna be has to be a numerical, so I'm gonna say tip. So if I run this, so now we have a swarm plot. So this is nothing but a swarm plot, right? So now let's move forward with that. So we have seen the swarm plot. Now I want to show you some couple of more plots in detail. Oops, sorry for that. Pulling up my notes. So we saw the swarm plots. So we can also combine the swarm and with the violin. So guys, you did the swarm plot, but we have the violin plot. So if you plot together in one line, just to show you. So here you can see we have nice plot. So right now the colors are same, so it's kind of, but you can change the palette equals to give the argument known as palette. So you can do all of that, so it's not a big deal, right? So the next plot is gonna be a factor plot, right? So this is also similarly for the categorical column, so it's pretty easy. You can just say SNS dot factor plot. Now moving on to the heat plot. We have covered that, but I want to show you a cluster map which will show correlation between these plots. So let's do that again. So we can say SNS dot HEA and hit the tab button to autocomplete. So we can say df dot core, but before doing that I want to show you what df dot core actually means. So essentially here you can see it's giving you the correlation or the standard deviation, excuse me. So it shows us how these columns are related. So the distance between the tip and the total bill is about 0.675. So this is what the correlation is all about. So if you want to plot this on a heat map, and just say df.core. Now if you want the values here, sure enough you can do that. So let's do that. Simply supply a variable known as n0 equals to true. So now you have values, but if you want to separate this, so the way you can do that is using the heat map df.core, right? n0 equals to true. So line width 3, So now you can see the line width we have nice separated out, beautiful. Now I want to show you, if you want to draw a cluster map out of it, so you want to see the relation. So essentially, let me, so we can say SNS dot cluster map, right? So df dot core, df dot core. So essentially want to zoom in so you guys have a better view. So we're gonna say SNS dot core, and of course we're gonna give a not equals to true. Oh, I don't know. I think we cannot give that one, maybe. So now this is the plot. So what this does, let me explain you, and we're gonna customize that for. So here you can see there is a correlation between the total bills and the size column. So here you can see, and this both are correlated with this column. So here you see, so for like complicated data, this will be very useful. It will tell you the correlation, how these columns are related to each other. So this is what the cluster map will do, right? Let me try the not. I'm not sure if that works out. So let's run this. All right, so you can also display the values, and if you want to separate out, you can say line width 3 is usually fine. You don't want to make 2. So if I run that, so now you have a beautiful, very beautiful cluster map. So moving forward, let me just drink some water. All right, so done with that, and moving forward with the presentation. All right, so now we are moving forward with the pair grid plot. So essentially want to show you that this is something really cool. You should know this. And then we are left with the regression plot. So let's do that one by one. So guys, now we are at the pair grid plot. So we essentially did the pair grid plot, right? Remember? But I want to show you something. We can customize that. Oops, right? Sorry for that. So we did this plot, right, guys? Pair grid plot right here. Pair plot. This was pair plot. Now what pair grid plot does? Essentially want to show you. All right. So let me pull up my snippets. So we're gonna just pass in the data frame. So essentially something like SNS dot pair. What was the command? Pair grid or capital? Oh yeah, P is capital. That's why. Oops. So let's do that. SNS dot pair grid, right? And essentially just pass your data frame and run it. So automatically it's gonna create these blank grid for you, and now you gotta fill this grid with whatever you want. You want a violin plot, you want a box plot, whatever. So I'm gonna say let's store this in a variable, right? So it's gonna make the plot of it essentially. So now I want to make plots at the diagonal, right? So I can say my where dot what was the syntax? I just want to see the syntax. So map underscore diag, right? Map underscore diag. So we can say map underscore diag. So essentially gonna pull out on the diagonals. Now you can select any plots from this, whatever you want, just select it. So I wanna get the disk plot. So I'm gonna get all the disk plots on the diagonal. So SNS disk plot, hit enter, and see the magic. It's amazing. So now you see at the diagonals we have the distribution plot, beautiful. But we can of course also do the KDE or whatever you want. So let's just do this on the diagonal. Now on the lower right hand side or the left hand side corner, we can also draw, saying that by command known as let me just paste it up. So map underscore upper, which is gonna map on the upper side. So we're gonna say SNS.KDE plot. So essentially it's gonna do the KDE plot, right? So if I run this and see, so here you see you can get the values of the KDE plot, So here we have a beautiful KDE plot. And now finally I can say on the lower side, I can say map underscore lower and SNS dot, let's say which plot do we want? Maybe hex plot. I don't know if hex plot is there. SNS dot hex. Let's try out. Otherwise we'll get an error and we can fix it up. So it's fine. So yeah, we know that the hex plot is not there. So what all plots are there? Oh, we can do a box plot or a violin plot. So let's try a box plot. So box plot, run it up. So this is how you can customize your grid plot. All right, we have a small error and it says, let's move to my snippets. Oh, it's box n plot. So of course, syntax issues always, right? So run it up. Sorry for the issue. It's gonna take a while depending upon your speed of your computer. And so what a Seaborn does, it automatically fits all the plots on the upper, lower and the diagonal, whatever you specified. So it's still running. Here you can see it takes a time because it's gonna take all the data set and gonna perform all of these plots and do the job. So once that is being done, I think we got the output. So here you see we have the output, right? Nice output. We have customized it. So this is the nothing but the pair grid plot, right? All right. So moving forward, we have after the pair grid plot, what do we have? All right, we have this one, facet grid. So we have something known as facet grid, right? So what this does, I'm gonna explain you in detail, right? So let's do the facet grid. So the facet grid plots allows you to customize, it allows you to get the grids basically. All right, so facet grid plot. So SNS dot. So before that, oh, sorry for that. I was typing 2. All right, so facet grid, and inside the facet grid you can supply the argument of the data frame and the categorical column that you want. So you can supply the data frame and the another parameter, as I said, you can give the categorical column. So we're gonna give the day. Let's try it out. So so we have to give an argument known as call, and let's say day. Let's see what facet grid does. So when you give facet grid, so here you can see it came up with the 4 plots, right? Because since there are 4 days in the data set, I believe, so it's gonna come with the 4 plots. So for, if you check it out, there is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and each one you can customize it the way you want. So similarly you can say my where, right? So you can give a variable name, and of course you can then customize and fill the plots the way you want. So it also takes an argument known as row. So that's gonna be a little later on. Don't wanna confuse you guys much right now for the first time. So let's do this one. So if you observe, if I say 6, so what do you think, how many grids will I get? Because 2, of course it's male and female, right? So I'm supposed to get 2, right? So this is what the facet grid does. So now I have something known as time, right? So column equals to time. Yeah, I mean in this one I don't have it. I mean the data frame I don't have this time. So if I do this, here you see the total bill. We have distribution plot for smokers. Yes, so if they are smoker, then what is the distribution plot? And if they are not a smoker, what is the distribution plot? This is nothing so simple, about the facet grid. Moving forward with the plots. Now the next one we have, my God, that's a lot. So we have a regression plot. Essentially going to explain you what is regression plot. Alright, so for the regression plot, we can say, of course, we should supply numerical values. So we can say SNS dot LM plot. So tap for autocomplete, and the argument it takes is the number, and of course the numerical, because you have to do regression, right? So we can say x equal, so before that, for your visual information, so remember we're doing the regression plot, so LM plot, we can supply the x, so I'm gonna give the total bill, supply the y, supply the data, hit enter. Alright, what did I do wrong? X, Y data, did I miss anything? Let's see, let's check the snippets. So, oh yeah, you should not pass the data frame, it just takes the column name. So since remove that, run. So now you can see it came up with a nice regression line. So it did this automatically. That's nothing but the regression plot. So now you can separate this with the categorical feature. So you can say u equals to sex. So essentially, so you have two colors with males and females. You can supply an argument known as split equals to true. So it's gonna, oh, so that does not work. Okay, that's fine. I thought split works. So that's the regression plot. Moving, yep, so that's done. The regression plot is done, and I think that would be the end of this part 2 video. So we covered all of these plots. So I hope you have enjoyed it and you really learned something new. And if so, if you think, you can give a like to this video and support my channel. By the way, the part 1 or the links to the part 1 would be also there on the description section. Part 2 is also there, and in the part 3 we are going to use pandas data visualization. By default, pandas do have a data visualization, so that will be part 3. So thank you for watching and see you guys next time.